What's up guys, Thomas from FT86 Speed Factory, and today we are finally installing our center exit exhaust on our 8.6. Now the first half of this exhaust, which is the mid-pipe section, is going to install like every other catback system. You're first going to remove these factory exhaust or whatever exhaust you're using, then install the new mid-pipe on the exhaust hanger. Then when you connect it to the front pipe, you're going to be reusing the factory gasket, but we do include new hardware. And the way to set up that hardware is to grab your bolt, put a flat washer on there, throw that through the exhaust flange, throw another flat washer followed by a lock washer, then you can torque down the nut from there. Next, we'll need to remove the reverse lights, and you can do that by unplugging it from behind. There are two LED bulbs here. You can just twist them and they will come out. And then you can unclip this to get these wires out of the way. Then there is a plastic clip on each side and then two 10mm bolts on top. Now up next we have the exhaust tip, and there's a couple things we need to do before we can install this, so let's take a quick look at the hardware. For this we have two metal brackets that are going to go to the back of the exhaust tip. We've got two J-nuts that are going to slip over the two holes that we drill on the metal bumper reinforcement, and then to bolt these together we have 4 bolts each with their own washer, and you'll need a 10mm wrench for those. Now to install these brackets, make sure you're using the slotted side towards the exhaust tip, then you can put your 10mm with the washer and screw that right in, and then do the same thing for the other side. Now once we have those brackets on, we can test fit this so we can mark out where we need to drill the holes on this bumper reinforcement here. So to do that, we're going to align these brackets that we just installed. Up here there's going to be 2 screws that you'll need to undo that are holding up this heat shield. So you'll slide this into the hole here and then use those bolts that you just took out and then loosely screw them in with the brackets. Now these slots here are going to help us align this thing properly down the road, but right now we're just hanging it here to get a proper measurement. Okay, now with this mocked up, you don't need to worry about the V-band here yet. You can take a Sharpie, line up where those holes meet up here, and then now we can transfer that to the exterior and drill those 2 holes. If you do have a right hand drill with a right angle, you can drill them from here without removing the bumper, but for most of you guys who don't have those tools, we're gonna need to remove the bumper and then drill those holes. So let's go ahead and remove the bumper. Now removing this rear bumper is actually pretty easy. There's only 6 pop clips holding in the bottom. There's going to be a pop clip in each of the rear fenders. Then there's going to be one next to the tail lights, and you can use a 10mm or a screwdriver to remove that. And once all those fasteners are out, you just need to use some gentle tugging and pulling and you can remove the rear bumper. Now once you've got your marks traced over from the inside to the outside and you know where you're going to drill, I highly recommend using a center punch to hammer in a little divot so it gives your drill bit something to bite into so you're not wandering around. Then once you've got a center punch, I used a 3/32 drill bit to use my first pilot hole, then I bumped it up to a 3/16, and then lastly I used a 1/4 inch drill bit, and I did use some WD-40 to lube up that drill bit while I was drilling because this is some pretty thick metal that you have to drill through, so that added lubrication does help the process. Now it is always helpful to have the holes drilled in the exact position, but if you get it a little bit off, since we use these J-nuts, they do allow for a little bit margin of error, so you can drill that hole a little bit larger if you did screw up a little bit, because these J-nuts do slide over and you can get the proper alignment with these. Now all that's left is to get this exhaust tip bolted up, those 4 bolt holes, and then connect the V-band to the mid pipe. And on our BRZ this went very easy, but on an 8.6 it's a little bit more difficult. It's pretty tight tolerance anyways for all cars, since you're getting this exhaust tip to go out of a very specific hole in the bumper, and you do get a flex pipe and these slotted brackets to make it a little bit easier. But the best way that I found with the least amount of headache is to actually loosen up the bolts that connect the front pipe to the mid pipe and then actually disconnect it from on the exhaust hanger and just let that mid pipe hang, and then reinstall the rear bumper so you can slide the exhaust tip in so it can help hold it up while you loosely install the V-band. Then once the V-band is on, you can install the 4 bolts that hold up the exhaust tip, and then at this point, you can reinstall the exhaust hanger and the rubber mount. So just for a quick recap, first you're gonna loosen up the bolts on the mid pipe, then put the bumper back on. At this point, you can put the V-band clamp on, then install those 4 bolts on the exhaust tip, and now the last step is putting on the exhaust hanger. This is the easiest way I've found to install the center exit exhaust, and since it is installed on an R86, let's go ahead and do what I know all of you guys have been waiting for, and let's start this thing up. Now, as you guys just heard, this center exit exhaust has a pretty aggressive exhaust tone, especially for being installed on a completely stock exhaust. However, when you put this thing into 6th gear and cruise down the highway, it quiets way down without any drone. Now, from the teaser video that we released on Facebook and Instagram, we got a couple common questions. The first one was, will this exhaust system melt the bumper? And through all of our testing, we haven't gotten any deformation or any melting. And the second question is, what are we gonna do about this empty exhaust cutout? Well, we have plates specifically made for this cutout right here. These are our delete plates. We've got them for the 2013 to 2016 models. We just made them for the 2017 bumpers, and this is gonna be an optional upgrade. Now, if you wanna pick up one of these center exit exhaust, you can do so by clicking right here. And if you want to support this channel, the best way to do that is by picking up some aftermarket parts from our website. Now, if you have any questions at all, feel free to send us an email or give us a call. This is Thomas, and I'll see you guys in the next video.